And I think we are functional. Functional. All right. What is good, everybody, man? Happy Thursday. Salutes. What is good? Boy, we are light in the chat. Shit. Salutes, man. Shout out to Sam I Am. All right. For being first. All right. And the whites. Okay. Zamora, Pebbies. Salutes to y'all, man. What is good, man? Hopefully everybody doing well on this Thursday, man. Okay, I am feeling a little bit under the weather, but good enough to be able to come and just chop it up a little bit, catch up on some news that I necessarily was following. If you see the title, CHUD the Builder. Okay, salute to the folks that have been following along with this content. Bunch of y'all was tagging me in the Discord yesterday after hearing that CHUD got shot. Okay, or actually CHUD shot himself. All right, that is coming off of him recently getting arrested for not paying a bill at a restaurant after he was asked to stop live streaming inside the restaurant. So he's and actually there's a little bit mixed in there that some of y'all may not know because y'all just following like the headlines. All right, but he does have a channel on some weird site. This is after he's been kicked off of multiple platforms, and I've been trying to keep up with the whenever he goes live on that site. And he recently did a stream where he was stating how his life is kind of like upside down now because of this whole thing that he's been doing. Now, everybody has an opinion as far as what they think that he's doing. A lot of people are going to say that he's just racist, right? Some people, including myself, think that this is more of like a social media experiment. Same concept as what was homie's name? The Vegas shooter, right? I think what ends up happening is that maybe a person is not necessarily like racist, but they feel like they got to go a certain way, they got to do things a certain way in order to gain some type of notoriety. Even myself, I've had to check myself and say, well, I might be doing something to gain some type of traction or to even get at somebody, but what's the benefit if the audience doesn't understand what's going on? You know what I'm saying? The audience ends up thinking of you a certain type of way, and then your entire mission is completely misconstrued and just on a trajectory headed the wrong way. Again, I still feel like it's a social media type thing versus just hardcore racism. But for the people that feel like it's racism, by all means, everybody's entitled to their opinion. But to me, again, a social media experiment gone wrong, similar to Sin City Manny out in Vegas. I think this is going to be an important case, right? Because it is no longer just content now, right? It has now gone from content to it becoming an actual like case in front of like a judge. And I've had my own experience not too long ago with Controller and going to court and stuff like that. And it really put things into perspective that, the content is content and cool and everybody can have an opinion and shit like that. But once it gets into a court of law, there is only one, and that is the judge, and I should say the judge and the jury, because the jury is who really determines, what happens. So, once you are placed in front of a judge and a jury, outside influences, they mean nothing. The little chatter that happens between YouTubers at a time where everybody can have an opinion. All right, everybody can have a platform, everybody can have an opinion. And it's funny because I was thinking about that the other day. Like, I think that's another reason why, if you just look across the board, content creators and the amount of people that follow them, the amount of people that subscribe to them, everybody, if you look at them, everybody's numbers are off. You know what I mean? Everybody has, and I'm just giving a dumb example, but like you can have like 1 million subs and only be getting, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 views. You know why that is? Because there's way too many content creators. You know what I'm saying? And it's the gift and the curse. way too many content creators, the curse. So now it's just spread out thin, your audience. Your audience is watching, 10, 15, 20 different YouTubers, you know. Uh, Obviously the curse, the gift being that, we're in a time where everybody, has a voice. You just start up a YouTube and, you can, put your opinion out there. Similar to me, I'm no different. You know what I'm saying? But, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. And just, some thoughts. We're going to go over, and we're going to watch a little bit of content and stuff like that. I'm catching up. Obviously, I've been a little bit under the weather in the last couple of days. But, from what I'm gathering, at least the part to me that's important, right? Because it still has to be legal, So the instance yesterday where CHUD gets shot, right? CHUD goes up to some individuals and starts to I guess antagonize them with the whole N-word and telling them that they're chimping out and all that type of stuff. At the end of the day, calling somebody the hard ER is not a crime. It can be a hate crime if I guess if done in a certain type of way, but just saying the word NIGGER, that's not a crime. Telling somebody that they're chimping out, that's not a crime. You know what I mean? So there's an instance where, CHUD is talking to these individuals, and then he ends up walking away. And one of the individuals then proceeds to follow him, talking about, I got, what did he say? What's that word? I got, what's the word where Higgins be saying, yo, I was at war and that shit gave me PTSD. There we go. The individual, after CHUD leaves, the individual then follows CHUD and says, hey, I got PTSD. You say that word again, and I'm just going to, so. Okay, first and foremost, if you got PTSD, you're not following the PTSD. You're not following what gives you the PTSD, right? Like, let's be for real. So he is following CHUD, talking about the PTSD, and if you say it again, and he's gonna swing on you. And I'm guessing CHUD said it again, and the Higgins swung on him and ended up getting shot. CHUD ends up shooting himself as well. I guess they're scrambling with the gun. At the end of the day, is that going to be taken into consideration that the other individual followed him? At the same time, I want to see how this case plays out, because CHUD is antagonizing people. So are you going to tell me that because of the antagonizing that CHUD did, he deserves to be attacked? Okay. If so, then that's fine. I'm not going to have a problem with it. But, at the same time, it's something to think about. It's the same thing as the Sin City Manny, that it really put, a lot of things into perspective, that, you got to be careful. And the reason I say that is because the CHUD thing and the Sin City Manny, it relates to me as a content creator. Don't get me wrong. And just like CHUD, I'm saying the same thing, just like CHUD. I don't want to go out into the world and have to use my weapon on somebody. I will if I have to, but I don't want to do that. Okay. So the same thing that CHUD said the very day that he goes out and ends up shooting somebody. Well, I think he said it the day before that on his live stream, and then he goes out and, obviously shoot somebody. But, it's the same thing that I'm saying. So now, again, I have to learn from these experiences and learn what can be done and what cannot be done, because at the end of the day, if I end up being in one of these situations and I have to take somebody's life that's attacking me and stuff like that, I'm gonna be honest, I don't want to sit in jail. I don't want to sit in jail with murder charges, especially if somebody else attacked me. But at the same time, if the law is telling me that provoking someone to attack you, give them now the right, then, it's something to think about. I might have to think, I call one of these niggas on the internet a hoe ass, might be in his feelings to the point where he wants to attack me. And then if I use a weapon to defend myself, then all of a sudden I'm the one that's in trouble because I called him a hoe ass nigga. It's crazy how sensitive this world has become. And in all honesty, it's fake. It's fake. These people are not sensitive. It's fake. It's an excuse. That's just me though. That's just my perspective. So, this has now gone from content to real life, right? And now I want to see how this plays out in real life, and see what comes about from it. You know, so that's where I'm at with it. You know, I'm again, I'm gonna check a few things, catch up on a few things. I also have access to CHUD's um, Discord. So with that being said, I want to check in there because them niggas think it's a conspiracy. All right. He continuing to say it. This if you really pay attention, you know, he does it, and then when he takes it overboard is when the other person is starting to offend him and get crazy. That's when he go overboard and he be like, stop chimping out and hardy are this and hardy are that. But the purpose, him walking around is telling people like, yo, do you think that, you know, I have the right to, you know, use free speech? Is that, you know, and the thing is that if it is something that cannot be used in free speech, then let's make it a law. Let's make it a law that you cannot freely go around just saying the hardy are and salute stuff, black people, but this ain't a black people thing. This should be a everybody thing. Okay. If the hardy are cannot be used in public and be considered free speech, then neither can the spick word, neither can a chink-eyed, or, you know, all these terms that are out there. You know, put them all in a basket and create a law that says that, bro, you just cannot freely go around saying that. You know what I mean? So again, you know, as long as I've been following the CHUD Higga, you know, that was the mission. Okay. Now, you know, and I say his mission, is it a mission that needs to be done? I don't think so. I think what then plays in a factor is the social media part. Okay, while everybody is saying don't give him attention, everybody giving him attention. Where CHUD is about to fail, if he does fail, there's somebody else lined up that's going to do the same thing. Why? Because that's what people like. People like the fuck shit. People like watching this. People like watching this, hoping that something happens. Never forget, okay, technically I was in the same position, you know, but you know what the difference was? Someone else was doing the hardy R. Y'all don't remember that I used to go out and about, and there used to be individuals that used to send TTSs, hardy R, hardy, hardy R, hardy R. What do you think those people were trying to do? You think those people were like, oh, you know, I really care about Zaya. You know what I mean? No, those people didn't care about me. Those people wanted to be the reason why someone confronted me and possibly created some type of conflict where I got attacked. So I need to know, you know what I mean? Like, is that possible? You know, can someone send a TTS, hardy R, hardy R, hardy R? That causes the altercation. I walk away from the altercation, and the person then comes to start the altercation again, and then they're in the right. Okay? Don't get me wrong. I don't do that no more. That was during a certain amount of time where I was trying to gain, you know, notoriety. Okay? And I was allowing the audience to do things that could get me in trouble or get me injured. Okay? Never forget. Okay? My situation is just like the CHUDs. The only thing is that I wasn't doing it, specifically me. I wasn't saying the hardy R, but there's a voice. And you know what? That TTS voice, a lot of y'all may not get this, but the person that is in the environment with me, they think that I'm doing that. They don't understand the concept that an audience is watching and they can pay to do stuff. So again, that's why I'm viewing this, and I've been watching, and I think I've only done maybe like a video or one video on this channel where I've discussed the CHUD. I've been watching though, and I've been intrigued, right? Because I've been saying the social media part eventually is going to come to an end, and then it's going to step into real world, going to court or catching a charge or something like that. Who's going to catch the charge though? Is it going to be him? Is it going to be the because I believe that there is a substantial amount of and I don't even want to say black people. I want to say there's a substantial amount of people in general that crash out over terms. Okay, whether it be the hardy R, whether it be calling somebody a SPIC, whether it be calling, you know, an Asian person a derogatory term. These derogatory terms, there are people that are just going to crash out for these terms. Okay, they hear it, they get, you know, they get riled up, and then they just wall out and they don't think of, damn, what's the consequence of all this? I'm not one of them people. Okay. There is, well, let me rephrase that, because at one point in time I was one of these people, right? But it wasn't on what you call it, it wasn't on the derogatory terms of race. Okay. My trigger word used to be PDF. All right. I'm from a day and age where, my nigga, a PDF, you either attack the PDF or you attack the person that's throwing the false charges on the PDF. So you might have caught me out and about. Let me tell you something. And these days are over, right? Because now I know that everything is a setup. I don't trust anybody. Okay. It could be the nigga closest to you that is setting you up. Okay. So I believe it all to be a setup. There used to be a day and age, and a lot of you haters missed out on it, that had you just come near me and said PDF, I would have attacked you. You would have tricked me out of my spot. All right. Now I know that it's all a setup. Okay. 9.9.9999 of these people don't believe none of this shit. They just want to trigger you to turn you into the content. Okay. So I used to be that person, no longer. All right. But there's a lot of people that crash out over just terms, over just words, over what, a lot of people consider trolling, but is real world now catching up with, social media, Don't get me wrong. A lot of y'all Higgins hide on social media behind accounts. And I commend you. That's where you should stay. You should never try to take your trolling off the internet. Okay, just leave it on the internet. But don't get me wrong. At some point in time, even the people on the fake accounts, you will be held accountable as well. You'll be the last though, right? Because, no way in hell where YouTube or social media and actual law hasn't caught up with each other, are they not going to spend time trying to catch the random higga on YouTube? I don't think so. Okay. But eventually you will be at the very end where they will be able to determine who's behind these accounts. All right. This is only the beginning. What's going to happen with CHUD? Is he going to be held liable for that? Because at the end, to me, that's the important part. Was there an instigation? Yes. Was there an altercation? Yes. But they said he walked away from it. That's the end of the altercation. The black man then follows him and says, my PTSD is going crazy. Holla! If you do it again, I'm going to do
Mr.
something.
Williams sent $2 if you were out with Benz and Dom and some man walked up with a camera yelling racist discolorful names at them kids, you crashing out fam. No doubt in my mind you not going to let that go. In my opinion.
Okay, salutes. All right, shout to Mr. Williams. Hold on. Oops, sorry, I'm in the way. Let's go over there. All right, shout to Mr. Williams, man. If you were out with Benz and Dom and some man walked up with a camera yelling racist, discolorful names at them kids, you crash it out, fam. No doubt in my mind, you're not going to let that go, in my opinion. I'm saying though, this is based off of like back then when I used to be with them, or based off of now? I hate to break it to you, my nigga. Based off of now, ain't no way I'm doing anything. And I'll put it up in the air back then. Again, I said it. Today's day and age, I don't fucking trust nobody. It's all a setup. Back then, I'll do like that. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But like crash out like what? Like attack the man that, here's another thing, right? Like when that happens and I go to attack the man, like what, we don't think about this. That's the problem. A lot of people are quick to crash out, but you don't think of the after effect. You don't think of what happens after. So when I crash out and I assault a man, you think the cops ain't going to let me go, right? They're going to put me in handcuffs. What happens to the kids? Now the kids got to ride in the police car, or someone got to call Jules. Like, I hate to break it to you, but 9 times out of 10, when Jules dropped them kids off to me, my nigga, Jules did not want to get called for nothing. Jules wanted to go do her. All right. Real quick, let me run through the chat real quick. Let me see. Shout out to Mr. Williams again. Shout out to Chungy in the chat. Shout out to J Fam. Allergies are full infect with you too, Zaya. I've been like this for 2 weeks. I don't have allergies though. I'm just sick. I'm not allergic to anything. Let me see. His daddy will pardon him. Are you talking about Trump? Shout out to Mr. Williams. He can call it free speech or social experiment. In reality, it's clicks and views. What gets more attention than racist interactions? I agree. I agree. That's why, like, and again, like, if y'all truly believe that he is racist, if you got like, yo, Isaiah, but I seen something, then drop the link, my nigga. Let me watch it. I can't find every single link. Like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe we're just not running across the same videos. But if you got a video and Chud's up there saying, yo, I'm racist and I like doing this, then shoot it to me. Change my perspective. Just talking about it is never going to change my perspective. I need to see examples. Okay. And I mean this with no disrespect. Man, I don't trust no one. I trust myself. Okay. I trust myself and I trust what I could see. Okay. I don't trust just the word of anybody. I just don't. I'm just not like that. I'm sorry. And you know what? It's this. This is the reason why I'm not like that. Okay. Social media, YouTube. Okay. My experiences on YouTube. Man, I don't trust nobody on YouTube. Okay. The best way to fuck with me, the best way to get me to see is to show me what you're looking at. Just doing like this or just typing it, you're never going to convince me of anything. Okay. Do I believe that he's racist? I believe that in the very beginning, no. Now, here's the thing though. Let's say up until this point, he's not really racist. He's just doing it for clicks and views. Then he goes into this trial or this whatever instance, which this is going to be fun to watch if this becomes like a trial that we can actually watch. To me, this is important. Similar to the one in Vegas. This has a lot to do with social media, right? This has a lot to do with some of the things that I have done, where, I gotta start protecting myself because no one, and no offense to y'all, but y'all, the audience, y'all just want to see content. At the end of the day, like, how do I know that you really care for me? I just put everybody and say, nobody gives a fuck, Zaya. You're just a content, my nigga. Niggas want to see you wild out, or people want to see people wild out on you. They want to see this. If you get injured, then fuck it. It is what it is. Okay. But at the same time, like, I gotta watch for my own back. I make sure that, I can create content, but I'm not getting myself in a pickle where, then, I get an attempted murder charge. Okay. Cause I'm a firm believer, man. While I'm sitting on an attempted murder charge, man, y'all watching somebody else. Okay. Some of y'all gonna reach out and damn and say, all right, here's a couple of dollars here and there. But the majority of y'all gonna move on and watch somebody else. So you know what? I'm gonna make sure that every single time I'm looking out for my own self. I'm looking out for my own interests, looking out that I can create the content, give y'all a good time, and still move on without being scathed. All right. All right. So these are some of the clips from, I guess, that instance that went down. Although they do not show the encounter in the very beginning. They only show after the fact. And that is something that we have to get used to in society. We always get the after effect. We don't get the what started it. Obviously, everything happens in a flash. By the time you take out your phone to start recording, so much has already occurred. But this is, I guess, this is them squabbling before they were separated, and I believe the shots have already gone off. There's no audio to this. All right. They run down on both men. Now there, though, I'm not going to hold you, but it seems as if Chud is on top of the Higga. Right? Chud's the Higga with all the hair. Chud is the Higga that's on top of him. Yeah. Salute to that black man who was shot 2 times and was still squabbling. You see Chud's hat off in the distance. Now, I was wondering why this officer ran off like that, and the only thing that I could think of was to secure the gun. The gun probably is like over here on the floor, but I don't see him picking anything up. Oh, with that, the gun right there. Ooh, hold on. Right there. I think that's the gun right there, this black piece. Now, here's another thought. Shout out to Mr. Williams. Bro, outside the courthouse too. Holy moly. Someone, one of these content creators that I was just watching to see what their thoughts and opinions was trying to say that, oh, the major factor is going to be that Chud is wild and he bringing the gun to court, yada. The thing is that was Chud even supposed to be in court that day, or was he just in front of the courthouse? You know what I'm saying? I think it was more he was in front of the courthouse. He wasn't going to court. Now, I don't know what the rules is about I know you can't have a firearm inside of a courthouse, but is there like a certain amount of feet that you have to be away from the courthouse before it's considered some type of like a crime?
Extent of the law. Etherly has been charged with attempted murder, employing a firearm during dangerous felony, aggravated assault, and reckless endangerment with a deadly weapon.
So, listening to this, I got to ask myself, if he was at court, or if he was supposed to be going to court over a civil matter, then why did he bring the gun to the courthouse? Right? Like, even if you bring your gun with you, like, even if you got your gun on you, my nigga, you got to leave that in the car. So was he set to go in to the courthouse and then this interaction happened? Or did he already go in, handle the business, then come out and say, oh shit, I'm gonna film some content around here, went back to his car, got his gun, and on top of that, did he bother to look around to see if there's any posted signs that says, hey, this is not this is a restricted area or something like that? Because that's what that's what he might end up getting in trouble for. The fact that he is on that property with that gun when he's not supposed to.
What you said, like, people gonna hate that I probably said it too, but I don't think he's racist. But do I think he's prejudiced? Yes. And there's a slight difference of the two. Does he think that? He thinks that white people are superior? They're superior to black people. I do think that.
Okay.
I think he thinks.
Why do you think that though?
Because he's targeting them for that specific reason. He thinks that he's now, don't get me wrong, he's said it to white people, but he targets black people specifically to prove that point. He calls white people niggers after they say why you're doing that, but he's targeting a specific demographic, right? And that itself is when you target a specific demographic, that's when I start to line you up for the word of being prejudiced towards a specific.
Okay.
It'd be different if he goes around calling white people that, because he wants to see all races how they react to it.
Can I shake the hornet's nest a little bit?
Sure.
Is there a race other than black people that responds to racial slurs the same way? Hopefully you understand what I'm asking.
Yeah. I can't, like, it's kind of hard for me to say that. I feel
how often do we hear a Spanish man, attacking someone because he was called a spick?
Okay, so here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, and I personally understand and can see where you're coming from. But my response is, like, at the same time, I'm just speaking of it from it'd be like a white person telling me, yo, you don't need to be reacting to the N-word. Like, they're not black to feel that. So for me to say Hispanics don't trigger that way, man, that shit don't hit the same for Hispanic. Like, I'm not a Hispanic man to know that, You can tell me that, and I could take your word for it. And you're one person I'll take in, but I don't know how the next Hispanic feels about that. So, but I will say, if I had to just give my opinion, then I would say yes. But I would then go back and say to that ETCZAYA is, what out of all those words, what word attributes the most type of pain connected to it? spics weren't a spic word is like a more new like people weren't beaten and killed for being called a spic. I guess that's the difference of the two. And I get what you're gonna say and what you said. Like I understand. Like nobody alive right now was called the N word and whipped for it. Like nobody lived that. Maybe their
I respect the individual that says my ancestors had to endure pain for that.
Yeah.
But for you to say that you are bothered, like, and don't get me wrong, it's just my opinion. You as a black man, you have the right to feel the way that you want to feel.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm just like, bro, how could you let that affect you when that word has nothing to do with you? That word has to do with your ancestors and what your ancestors went through. So if you want to stand up and fight for your ancestors, then I respect it.
Yeah.
Telling me that you're the one that's offended, I'm like,
let's put it this way.
Word?
I'll put it this way, Dan, like so you can feel it, right? I say this with all respect, but like, and this doesn't trigger you, but you can understand it more.
Yeah.
Your mother was a drug addict, so to you, drugs don't really hit the same, but your mother dealt with the problem.
Yeah.
So somebody saying like, man, drugs don't do shit to nobody, man. Nobody really deal with that shit. You dealt with it not directly, but indirectly through your mother. So it could trigger you still because
the thing is that, and I get where you're going, but like drugs is a real thing. Like drugs really do have an effect on a person.
Yeah, but the thing is, I could say, like, let me put it this way, right? This is not true to me, but this is true. This could be true to somebody. What if someone read an ancestor book about their great grandfather who was a slave, and every time he got whipped, he was called the N word, and he pleaded, and they separated. Like they read all these things, so that when they hear that word, they think about that grandparent, even though they didn't meet that person. They still like it's the part of their bloodline or what. Like that's where I can understand like what you're saying with the ancestor thing. Like I could see somebody even if they didn't meet that person, there's still a connection because they know that's a part of their family.
Yeah.
Like even you, Zaya, like I know you don't know your dad, but I guess like I don't know. This might not hit the same for you, but you don't know your dad. But if everybody said, man, if your last name, man, fuck the DeLeon family. Them niggas is all pussy bitch ass niggas. I kill them all. You might not know none of them, but does it? I don't know, Zay. Does it affect you? Because you're Deli, even though you're not connected to that side, like, would you still stand up for them, the DeLeons, even though you might not know them all? So it might not hit the same, but you get where I'm coming from, right? Like, you don't necessarily have to have the direct attachment to feel some type of way. But at the same time, I'm not gonna say, man, that word held me back. The N word held me back. No, I can say the N word held back my ancestors, but that's I guess you get where I'm coming from. I guess.
I get where you're coming from. Now, so I feel like
that all goes back to what I'm saying there, where I don't feel like he's racist. There's a slight difference, and maybe we can look it up. Zaya E can look it up for us. What the difference between racist and prejudice? Because they do overlap, and like they can get like misconstrued. But from my perspective, prejudice means like you look down on them. You look down on that race. Because he even says in his words, like, you niggers are chimping out and you niggers are just violent. Like all y'all are violent. Like it seems like I don't know. It's prejudice is the word I would use.
I think there is a biasness towards my response and how I look at things because of my experience on the internet. I think a regular person that is not involved in social media, it's easier to get you to react to something.
Yeah.
To me, I am, and listen, I have no one to thank but y'all. Okay? Y'all have made me so tough-skinned, so like, bro, that shit goes in one ear, out the other. There is nothing that you can say that is going to offend me. You can talk about my mama being a drug addict. You could talk about my daddy. I don't know him. You could talk about fuck the DeLeons. Bruh, none of that matters.
But I think you just said it. I think you honestly just said it right there, right?
Yeah.
Like a nigga that's on the internet, even 25%, they know the internet. A nigga that don't be on the internet, they are clueless.
It's easy to just, oh shit, some dude's in front of me calling me a hard ER. Like,
yeah. And
when listen, someone in front of me calling me a spick, and he got a phone or something held
You know
up,
what time it is. You know
I
what
know
time it
what
is.
time it is, bro.
Exactly.
I know what time it is.
That man did not know what the fuck was going on, and maybe the PTSD was there. They like he don't know. Now it's not. This is not a.
Here's another thing, right? So, like, if a person is holding up a camera while they're doing it, you may not know what time it is as far as YouTube, but he's holding a camera up. So you're gonna assault him on camera? That's where I say the power of that word has such a control over you that somebody is recording themselves doing that to you, and you are willing to be on the recording committing a crime, assaulting them. You know? All right, we lost light skin. It might have just been a connection thing. He might be back. All right. I don't know, bro. Like, I get it. I get it if there's no camera involved. Like, bro, like, CHUD, why he doing that to you, my nigga? He like this. Yo, a Hardy R, chimping out, all that. He's like this. You don't like, salute to my black brothers out there, but like, are you not intelligent enough to process that there's a camera, he recording you? So you're gonna let someone record you while you assault them? Like, that doesn't make no sense. The guy has a camera in his hand.
Well, but Zaya, that's the word that we've been saying now, and we got to understand that we used to say this all the time, right? And we take it as a word of like, he gonna catch the raw nigga that ain't on that internet type shit, right? You know that word we say, I'm not on that internet shit. You know what I'm talking about? That word don't matter no more. Everybody's an internet nigga. Everybody. Yeah. There's no search, like maybe like a slight percent now. But nigga, if you a hood nigga in the trenches of the trenches, nigga, you were on the internet watching something. So you're like everybody's an internet nigga. So everybody, so that internet, like, I ain't no internet nigga. I'm a real nigga. Like, you don't watch niggas, these social experiments. You don't watch something that has gotten you up to date where nigga, you see that phone or you see whatever, you kind of just know what time it is. Like, people are, like you said, smarter. But that guy, that's my first time watching it when you showed it, Zaya. He did seem a little off. He seemed a little off, Zaya.
Wait, who?
The nigga that attacked him.
I'm saying we haven't even seen that guy yet, though.
Oh, well, I heard. Well, I was listening. I think I was driving or when I was cleaning.
No. There's nothing. There's nothing that shows the guy yet. The closest that we've got is them tussling, someone filming it from a distance.
So that was another clip when he was like, some dude was telling like, say something, say it again.
Yeah, there's another clip where he's at a gas station. That shit was like days ago, though.
That nigga was recording him too. He had his phone out.
But he slapped the phone out the guy's hand. Even that could be considered assault.
But he knew that nigga knew what time it is because he even said it in there. I got my phone. I got my gun on me too. Like he's a nigga that's an internet nigga. Like he know what time it is. He know to record the same way. Like there's not. I ain't saying there ain't no street niggas out there, but what I'm trying to say is there is every street nigga out there is an internet nigga now. Like let's put it this way. All due respect. And you gotta agree with me, Zay. I don't want to get hurt saying this, but like, nigga, Tone Capone is a street nigga. He on the internet though. He know how to move on the internet, but he is a street nigga, and he is a man in two worlds. But he knows though he's not stupid. If you run up with him on that camera, he knows like, man, this nigga ain't really about what he mouthing off about. You feel me? Like if he got that phone, if that nigga, like you said, a nigga that really want to hurt you. He's never gonna show you. He gonna catch you slacking without any internet shit going on. So, thank you, bro. I don't want Tone Capone to hear that, but hold on, man. I get hurt.
Shout out to Tone, man.
Holla!
All right, let's get it.
Anonymous sent $2. So with that same analogy, does the word pedophile have the same control over you? We have seen you drive across the state and many other things to address those words when spoken to you.
All right, salutes, man. You have probably just entered. I appreciate you for joining. I did address this in the very beginning. Shout out to Anonymous. So with the same analogy, does the word pedophile have the same control over you? We have seen you drive across the state and many other. We have seen you drive across the state and many other things to address those words when spoken to you. No. Yeah, no. At one point it did. That's what I said that that's the part where I get it. Shout out to my fellow black man. I get it. The hard ER, Zaya, brother, it's just in me. It enrages me. You know, I lose my cool. You have to admit that. You lose your cool when you hear the hard ER. At one point in time in my life, yes, PDF was so controlling over me that on my mama, had one of you niggas said it to my face, I would have assaulted you. I would have, bro. I would have lost my cool and assaulted you. Now, Bazea, you ain't like that. I'm not saying I would have beat you up. I'm not saying I would have been the victor. I'm saying that you would have said it to my face and I would have swung on you and dealt with whatever consequences came later. That is at a later, you know, that there was a nice amount of time where any one of y'all could have caught me slipping and tricked me out my spot by just coming into my vicinity and yelling PDF. Now I know, hold on, light skin. Now I know it's all a setup. It's all a setup. That's all it is. You're just trying to trick me out my spot. I'm not falling for the setup. You could yell that shit till you're blue in the face. Unless you touch me, I cannot do nothing to you.
Yeah, it's like reverse psychology. I was gonna say, Zay, out of curiosity for my own self, and maybe you can help some people in the chat or this person that knows you. What saga did that stop at, Zay? The jersey, you know, the Ron, the skinny, the what's her name? Controller. Like, when did it cut off? You feel like when it probably skinny, right? Because I mean, even during the skinny phase, you kind of got over that shit.
No. Like, you know, like it shot to skinny, not to play him as a creator or nothing like that. The skinny issue was a personal issue that me and him were homies. I've always admitted that. Like, you know, I'm the one that took that the wrong way, and I'm the one that was irresponsible in not just telling him like, yo, skinny, like, you know, I don't appreciate how this is playing out. I truly believe if I would have said, skinny, I don't appreciate this, he would have said, yo, bro, then scrap it.
Yeah.
You know, but I didn't. I got hot-headed, and then we went to war, and Skinny's not someone that's going to back down. Right. Yeah. I don't believe that Skinny believed any of that. I believe that Skinny believed that it was war. And sometimes you gotta
grab at the first gun
you gotta use what you could use to destroy someone. Yeah. I'm not mad at Skinny for trying to destroy me because we are at war. Some of these other people, though, you know, are just different. I view them differently. Now, where it actually stopped, I don't know if I can like pinpoint an exact point, but you know, even the controller situation, right? When I look at controller, my nigga controller knew everything that she knew now when she was cool with me.
So it doesn't hit. Yeah, it don't hit. It don't hit. It can't
right?
Hit because
most of the people that are saying it at one point in time, they were good with me. Still knowing all the same info. Okay. Once they weren't cool with me, they leaned more towards the fake info.
Even Jersey was cool with you.
My nigga, I got Jersey on a line, and don't get me wrong, like this is far gone, right? My nigga, I got Jersey on the line saying that, bro, man, all that shit is bullshit. We just doing it for the internet. And just to prove it to me, letting me listen to Skinny on the other line talking.
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro. And that's been the nigga that's been pushing that shit for a hot minute. When you're cool with them, it's straight. When you're not cool with them, it's PDF this, PDF that.
Yeah.
Now, when you use the PDF thing, to me, you are really trying to destroy someone. Or you're trying to make them destroy themselves. There have been content creators that have been called a PDF and have committed suicide.
Yeah.
You ain't never going to catch me committing suicide over nothing. Why? Bro, I'm too arrogant. Not arrogant, but I'm too into myself to ever do myself harm. Nothing. There's nothing you could say. Okay?
I think also, Zay, you could be stubborn at times that even in death, nigga, you wouldn't want niggas laughing at you killed yourself, so you wouldn't do it. Reverse psychology type shit. Like, you like, I'm not going to give these niggas the laughter when I'm dead to laugh at me killing myself, so I'm not going to kill myself.
No. And on top of, listen, just to add on to that, because that's correct, but like, if I don't trick myself out of this spot, or if I don't allow myself to trick out of this spot, that's the longevity of them being pissed off.
You get to extend it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to crash out and then give you the you get the W by me just crashing out and then I'm gone. No, I want to show up to this motherfucker every day. 45 viewers, 35 viewers, sometimes 25 viewers, but still you can't stop thinking about me. My enemy still cannot stop thinking about me.
That's a reverse.
How low them numbers go.
That's a reverse psychology in itself. That it's like If you got 10 viewers, he ain't gonna go live, and then you still going live with 10 viewers. It's like, man, what the fuck?
You telling me I done fell off, but you ain't stopped watching me.
Yeah.
You know? And the reality is that, you know, like, not for nothing, but, you know, as I look around, you know, I see content creators with heavy numbers and low viewership.
Yeah, my shit's fucked up.
Yeah, like you, Kais. I looked at Kais the other day. I was like, that's crazy. But it doesn't, you know, like when I look at it now and I try to break it down and make sense, it doesn't come across to me that you fell off. The thing is that there's just too much content.
Yeah.
Your viewer doesn't have enough time to watch everybody. You know?
Yeah.
Your viewer, that one viewer watches 20, 30, 40 different YouTubers. They just don't have time to watch everything. So, you know, there's just too much content. There's too many content creators. But then, you know, it's, you know, like I said earlier today, it's a gift and a curse because, like, who am I to tell someone that they can't be a content creator? Yeah. I didn't allow nobody to tell me I couldn't be a content creator. You know what I'm saying?
I think I accepted this. I accepted those numbers as the new norm.
Yeah.
And what that means is just like, it's nothing wrong with, like, if I'm getting under 10, like, I just accept it, bro. Like, I still get to do what I want to do. I'm not going, it's not going to stop me from, you know, but what that does also do is pushes me to go do other things. And like, you know me, Zay, I know you, like, we like to be comfortable, but even if we get pushed into something uncomfortable, we'll figure out something else, bro.
Yes.
Like, we'll increase. So, you know, like, it is what it is. Like, I'm just going to have to, that's his life. Like, who the fuck, you know, I did this shit for almost 15 years now, bro. You've done it damn near going closer to 20 years. So like you're not at 20, but you're getting close, nigga. Like where you at there? Where you at there for us? 15, 16? Where? You gotta be somewhere because I'm at 13. I'm at see, I'm saying, like, come on, bro.
2009.
Nigga, there's niggas that don't even have careers that long in one business, nigga. Nigga, you've been doing YouTube as long or almost as long, let's say, than this nigga LeBron been playing basketball, nigga. Come on.
You know? And you know, listen, I've always been honest with people in saying that, you know, like, I like doing YouTube. I like coming up and having a conversation like that, like this, you know. I like doing this. The only thing that is different is that when I'm getting paid, I'm motivated to go more.
Yeah, it's fun. It's more.
When I'm getting paid, I'm willing to go 7 days a week, multiple times a day,
and invest more.
If it comes down to I can't make a single dollar off of this, Zaya's not disappearing from YouTube. You just probably catch me like 1 day, 2 day out the week, maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours.
Big Money Sonny sent $2. Pack said it best. NIGGA never ignorant getting goals accomplished. Pack also said America ka ka. Salutes to Tony the homie you already know. Let's fucking get it.
All right. Salute shout to Big Money Sonny. All right. He said Pac said it best. NIGGA, never ignorant, getting goals accomplished. All right. Pac also said America ka ka. Salutes to Tony the homie. You already know. Let's fucking get it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like,
I just wish that the word did not have so much control over the individual.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you know, I don't know everybody, but like, you know, the guys that fuck with me, if you are a person of color, if you are a black man, you know, my advice is just, bro, forget that word, bro. Get it out of your system.
Well, you know what's crazy there? Like, real talk. This is the thing that did, like if someone calls me that, I might, like, it might make me say, oh, in my head, like, oh shit.
Yeah, you might say, whoa, what the fuck's the matter with you, or something like that. But never let it get you to the point where you then engage the person by physically assaulting them.
But here's the icing on the cake that I just didn't think about till right now. Dumb, but we're taught to hate that word. We're taught to hate that word.
By who?
By our schools, by our family, by our parents. Because at the end of the day, when a baby grows up, nigga, they don't know what nigga means. They're taught that is a bad word. Now, I'm not saying teach your kid that it's a good word. You can tell them that it's a bad word, but don't tell them that someone calls you a nigger, go crazy. Like, tell them, like, if someone calls you a nigger, just walk away from that person. Don't have nothing to do with
listen, I could see where the first initial thought is to teach your children to never let, you know, somebody call you that. You know, don't ever let no white man call you that. But mom, but what do I do if the white man calls me that? Man, you attack them, do something to them.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the
To me,
talk part.
unfortunately, that is a very simplistic way of thinking about it. Right. What you should be thinking is that is is slavery a thing today?
No, prejudice is though, and that's
Okay.
what goes back to
But
that.
but
So
but pay attention, because the 13th Amendment to the US Constitution, ratified in 1865, prohibits slavery and involuntary servitude, but includes an exception clause that allows it as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted. So while you're fighting over a word that dates back to slavery, the actions that you are going to put forth towards being offended by that word is going to put you in slavery. You get it? You're going to
yeah,
commit a crime defending the word that is going to put you right back where your ancestors were, in a prison, doing slave work for free, around other men that are frustrated, criminals, okay? Guarding your life for honey buns and soups. All right. Light skin, when's the last time you went to the supermarket, my nigga, and you looked at the fucking ramen noodle soup and you looked and said, oh shit, look, 33 cents. In today's day and age, light skin could go and buy that whole row, go outside and throw that shit up in the air, and motherfuckers ain't gonna come running to grab the ramen noodle soup. You go to the setting of a prison and a person is willing to stab you over that soup.
yeah.
Okay, so while you're so focused on, man, I ain't gonna let no white man offend me, are you gonna be tricked into slavery though? Right? Because slavery is abolished, 13th Amendment, but there's this clause in there: slavery can be imposed on you if you are found guilty of a crime. Not all the prisons do it, but like you look at like a prison in like Louisiana, they got them boys out there breaking rocks. Chain gang type status. That still happens. Literally every prison could be like that. Every prison could take those inmates and use them for work. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying don't be offended. I'm saying everybody has the right to be offended. Okay? You don't have the right to commit a crime because you are offended. Well, I should re-say that. You have the right to commit the crime, but you're just tricking yourself back into what you say that offends you. But you're just doing it through a word. So like, think about it. Think about it for a second. My nigga, if you truly believe in God, or if you truly believe that like your ancestors look down on you and stuff like that, my nigga, like, you don't think that that's shameful to your ancestors? As hard as they fought, as much pain as they had to go to, for that shit to get abolished. And now here you come and a word tricks you back into what they used to have to do. They don't want to see you do that. They want to see you do well. Right? Your ancestors want to see you do well. Your ancestors want to see you progress. All right. Is it still a white man's world? Yeah, but bro, there is still opportunity. I see plenty of black men flourishing. Okay? This is a different time than it was back then. Everybody has the ability to flourish now. Everybody has the ability to flourish. And you're worried about a word. Okay? I'm just saying, be offended. Don't lose your cool, though. And then you're in cuffs and you're headed to jail, aka slavery. So that's all I'm saying. The loots, man. This is probably going to be a very, very unpopular opinion. Okay. Shout out to Alter Ego. Chud is an e-beggar. Laugh my ass off. All right. Could we at least say that if Chud knows that his actions are leading to the loss of his business, the loss of income, right? Should he be allowed to then ask the general public for money? What y'all think on that? You know, if a man knows that his actions are going to lead to the loss of income, the loss of his business, right? To the point where he has to now e-beg, should he be allowed to e-beg? What y'all think? Yes or no? Hell no, right? All right. Mr. Williams said his family, I heard the baby mom took the son and filed for child support. Yeah. The baby mom recently, this was like maybe the day or 2 days before the shooting. He went on his platform and he was talking about how the baby mom's is about to change the name of the baby. Right? I believe the baby is named Dalton Etherly, just like his dad, right? She doesn't want that name to then be attached to the baby. And then later on in life, the baby has to experience some sort of prejudice towards the baby because of his dad's actions. Okay. Okay. I see a lot of no's. Again, if CHUD understands that his actions, you know, are going to lead to him needing to do some type of GoFundMe or something like that, should he be allowed to e-beg? Y'all said no. Does anybody think that he should be allowed to e-beg? Anybody say yes? You know, can you be doing something that you know is going to be detrimental to you and you just proceed to move forward and do it anyway? And then when it doesn't go according to plan, you then be able to reach out to the public to have them pay for it or have them pay for the consequence, right? Or should I say, the consequences of your action, you know? This is something I tell Pebbies all the time. Like, you know, if you ask for my advice on something and then I give you my advice, right? And then you say, fuck it, and you do it your own way, when it totally goes left, you can't come ask me to come clean it up. No, because I gave you the advice that would have prevented all this. You decided to go against my advice. Okay. You cannot then look to me to clean up the mess that I told you. Don't do that. It's going to be a mess. Okay, let me see. Oh, you mean spend the money for Disneyland and then beg for it later? Huh? No, man. Again, one more time. All right. CHUD knows, you know, obviously he knows that humor and all that, right? It was causing people to, so if some of y'all may not know, right? This all originally started him end up losing his job, right? He loses his job based off the online humor and all that, the edginess and all that, right? So you lose your job. So you lose your job and then you say, okay, you got to make a decision. Stop the online humor. Like, and I don't mean no offense to y'all when I say this, but stop the online humor for fucking nobodies on the internet that ain't going to give a fuck about you when the shit go left, right? Because you're doing online humor, but for who? If you want to laugh at your own jokes, you could just tell them to yourself. When you write stuff online, it is because you are looking for attention from other people. When you say stuff online, you are looking for attention from other people. That is why you are stating it online instead of keeping it to yourself. Okay, so if you do something online, you write some edgy jokes, you lose your job. Okay, you have to sit down and say, damn, you know, the edgy jokes got me fired from my job. Okay, you know what? Let me issue an apology. Let me not do this no more. And in the process, end up start my own business. But he doesn't. What he does is he doubles down on the jokes. He starts his own business. The business gets trashed by people online. They're probably leaving bad reviews. Nobody wants to use his business no more. Okay, that's now a second time. At that moment, instead of saying, you know what, this is going too far. I've lost my job and I've lost the business. I can't put food on the table. Let me think of my son. Let me not do this no more. Instead, now he becomes a content creator where he goes out and now the edgy jokes, he's doing it in people's faces. He doubled down, he tripled down on what he was doing online. Instead of saying, damn, my family is affected. Let me not do this no more. Now that all this has played out, does CHUD have the right to say, well, fuck, I'm broke now, made the port the first time, the second time, the third time? Can the public help me? Public, can you give me money? You know, now with these fucking, now with the him having to go to court, bro, he gonna have hella legal bills now. So now, you know, is it fair that he now calls for the public to pay for this? You know, he didn't ask us for advice when he was, you know, hey, what about this edgy joke? Right? Maybe someone gave him the advice, say, hey, don't, you know, you shouldn't say that. It could go left. You know what I mean? Like, you never know. People could take it the wrong way, and then, you know, you look like a certain type of person. Nah, fuck that. You know, it's my free right. I'm going to say it anyway. All right, cool. Bang, job loss. Damn, you think I should write this edgy joke? I'm saying, though, my nigga, you just lost your job. You know, like, maybe you should just apologize and maybe not say that edgy joke, because, man, who gives a fuck about them people on the internet? They don't care about you. Nah, it's my right. I'm going to do it anyway. Lose his company. Oh, damn, I ain't got no money to feed my family. My baby mama took the baby. She about to change the baby name. My life is falling apart. You think I should go out and, you know, rub it in black people's face that they NIGGERs? Nah, man, I don't think you should do that, man. Like, you done lost already 2 times before. Like, it's not really going that well for you. Like, let's try to clean this up. And nah, I'm going to do it anyway. You know, ends up shooting someone, getting arrested. Now got attempted murder charges. Oh, shit. Everything went left. Damn it. Okay. I'm saying, though, you think you could do a GoFundMe and raise some money? Like, right? You get it, Mr. Williams? So should he be allowed to start a GoFundMe? You know, should he be allowed to do any sort of charity raising for himself? Or, you know, don't get me wrong. Like, you know, in life, you can do that. I'm just saying, like, just here, hypothetically speaking, what y'all think? Don't y'all think that at some point you should be like, no, if you cannot support your own actions, the public should not have to support that. The public shouldn't have to give money for actions that you can't support your damn self. You know? Now, here's the unpopular opinion. You know? I got to play devil's advocate. The guy that got shot shouldn't be able to get a GoFundMe either. Okay? You know, if CHUD says that he has a gun on him and you decide to engage him anyway and you get shot, why should we have to pay for your stomach or your leg or you getting shot? Why? Nobody told you to engage him. You could have ignored him. You could have said to the police, hey, officer, look, you saw how many officers are around there? It's a courthouse. Why can't you just yell, officer, can you get this guy away from me, bro? I don't want to have to do something to this nigga. Can you get him away from me? The officer would have said, CHUD, keep it moving, man. Get your ass out of here. You know? So now all of a sudden, you know, like all I see nowadays is Higgins making poor choices and then GoFundMes. Yeah, GoFundMe, aka fund my poor choices. Fund my poor choices that I couldn't fund my damn self. Okay? And now what you do? Because, you know, like the GoFundMe that the guy that got shot, right? He's going to automatically get money out of people that are saying, you know what, man, fuck that CHUD the Builder. He's a racist. I'm going to give money to this guy, right? CHUD the Builder. He's going to get money, even if it's anonymously, from Higgins just say, man, fuck them Higgins. You know, they always trying to get their way and this, and that. We're not going to let this shit ride. We're going to support CHUD. And really it's just a bunch of people making bad choices that end up they're able to then pivot that to the pockets of the people that are watching. You take donos off the people who hate you, Zaya. What's the difference? I'm saying, how is it the same? How is it the same? I give you a link that allows you to say something if you like. I'm not asking you to donate, though. You probably have never donated. Have I ever asked you directly to donate? It's easy to just be defiant, but like, are you thinking of what you're saying? You know, did you think of it before you typed it? Or have you noticed that I probably haven't read any of your stuff? So let me say whatever again, like, where do you land? You're not the content creator. You don't have no platform. You're not leading the way in the conversation. You're not the person that's willing to take the link to give it a good opinion. Are you just the person that's trying to get the reaction? And then that's it, like today, like you won. That's it. The entire time you won because finally Zaya, looked at your comment. But, how is your comment relevant to what we're talking about? Okay. I'm not begging you to, like, and then what is the bad choice that I've made that then I want you to pay to clean it up? What bad choice did I make? Where am I asking you to clean up any of my actions? I'm sorry, you don't get what I'm talking about. I got to move forward. Okay, you don't understand what I'm talking about. Like it's just not making sense to you. Okay, again, the same way that I say with CHUD is the same way I say with the black man, and not even because he's black is the same way I say across the board. You can't just make poor decision, and then when you finally make it to the end where that's it, there's nothing left, then you ask for a GoFundMe for people to give you money, right? Now, the people that give you money, the people that give the black man money, right, for getting shot, right, his stomach gonna heal, right? His leg shot gonna heal. He got the GoFundMe. He was able to pay his bills. When the next instance comes around where he should make a better choice because in the last one he got shot, you think he's gonna make a better choice? Hell no. Hell no. He had to GoFundMe. It's almost like a cop-out, It's like a, as simple as with the dog, right? If the dog does something bad, right? I can't say, well, Pepe's give him a treat. He did something bad. He has to learn that he did something bad. He has to learn that there is no reward for doing something bad. From that something as simple as that up to these instances right here. These people can't be financially benefiting from poor, bad choices. Let's get it. Let's say that there is some type of law, right? I don't necessarily know, but let's say that does exist and they would have disarmed him. Like, would CHUD have stopped? Is CHUD only doing this because he has the gun on him? Is he only going out doing this because he has the gun on him? Or would he have still gone out? If so, let's say CHUD, no, you know what, CHUD, I think still would have done this whether he had the gun or not. Okay, so that means that the courthouse thing would have happened either way. There just wouldn't have been no gunfire. It would just been a fight. CHUD could have won. The other guy could have won. Somebody just didn't get shot. In that instance, for a long time, and shot the light skin because light skin was the one that really, he really got me to realize that, bro, it's my right to be armed. As long as I'm protecting myself. I'm not an irresponsible gun carrier. I'm not looking to try to hurt nobody. I'm not going out thinking of crime. None of that. Right. But in this instance, like I've always said, man, that's why, I'd rather just roll with these, man. You feel me? You get into a fight, worst case scenario, you and the other person might be going to jail overnight. You get let out. Worst case, you go in on a Friday, you fucked, you don't get out till a Monday. But like just the pulling out of the gun, even when it is your right, bro, when you go to court, bro, there is someone that's sitting on the other end called a prosecutor that is trying to beat you. Even if you did everything the way that you were supposed to do. Every court case is a prosecutor and a defense. A prosecutor and a defense. No matter what, there's always a prosecutor on the other side. Sometimes it's best to just roll with these, man. That gun, it just takes it to another level, no matter if you're doing everything right.
And this morning, we're getting new details and video in the case of the controversial man known online as CHUD the Builder, following Wednesday's shooting outside the Montgomery County Courthouse. Jaxie Pigeon is live in Clarksville following that case. Hi, Jaxie.
Kendall, we're learning more about the timeline surrounding Wednesday morning's shooting. Investigators say 2 men were shot after a fight outside the Montgomery County Courthouse. Both men were hurt and taken to the hospital, but are expected to survive. Court records show Etherly was scheduled for a civil debt appearance that morning in Montgomery County. That's Dalton Etherly, also known as CHUD the Builder. It's not clear if he actually attended that hearing. Authorities say the shooting happened later that afternoon after a separate encounter outside the courthouse turned physical and escalated into gunfire. Deputies say they're still working to determine what sparked the incident. Now, this is the mugshot just obtained by News 2 of Dalton Etherly. He's charged with attempted murder, aggravated assault, reckless endangerment, and employing a firearm during a dangerous felony. He remains in custody at the Montgomery County Jail awaiting arraignment. And the entire courthouse complex remains closed as detectives continue their investigation here. Live in Clark.
He hit me.
Okay, stop, because this is part of what I was viewing yesterday. And salute to that donator that sent earlier that said that he hadn't heard that part. I believe this may have been where I took it from. Obviously, you're going to say, man, how can you believe it's CHUD, this and the third? I think in order to verify this story, you know, they're going to have to look at cameras. They're going to have to look at cameras to see the CHUD approach. And then, you know, that's it. They stop talking. He walks away and then the guy goes back to him. Or does the confrontation happen right there when CHUD is right there with him? Because if you pay attention, CHUD says, I walked away and then he came back up to me.
He came back up to me.
Right? You continue to aggravate him and antagonize him to get a reaction.
He said, walk away from me. I walked away from him.
He said, walk away from me. I walked away from him. He came back up to me and then starts telling me PTSD.
He came back up to me. He literally said, I have PTSD. I feel like I'm in. He said, you start saying all that chimp out shit to me, I'm going to hit you. He hit me, started wailing on me, even after I had to defend myself by shooting him. He's still waiting.
All right. With that being said, I'm out of here. I appreciate y'all. And hasta mañana, man. All right. Everybody stay up, stay fresh. I'll catch you on the next live stream. Everybody be safe out there, man. All right. Love.